everyone, good morning and welcome to the show, and of course wishing all the viewers who celebrate the New Year's festival a very happy New Year filled with prosperity and bounty, and I hope that the rest of your year goes according to plan for you and your loved ones as well. Now I'm sure that you're recovering from the festivities and all families have got together. It's the holiday season, so it's great to have you with us on the show this morning as well. And we are starting off the new year with speaking about children, and of course when it comes to childcare, we have our resident childcare expert with us on the show this morning, Arundhati Sivagurunathan. Good morning, Arundhati.
Good morning, Amaya.
It's lovely to have you here on the show this morning. It's a brand new year. We are starting off on the right foot by having you here as well. So how was your New Year celebration? What is it like usually?
Very good, Amaya. Very good. Lot of food, lot of relaxation, and of course family time.
Definitely, and that's what's important, right, about the Arundhati festival, to bring your family together and to share the bond that maybe the people, they have their families living all over the country maybe, or in different parts of the same city even, but you never really get to come together and bond as a family. So this is a great time for that, and we're happy that you decided to tune in to the morning show just as you are with your loved ones as well. Now, speaking about children this morning, we're going to speak about something that children are not very prone to do, and that's sleep. Now it might seem a bit difficult to get your child used to regular nap times and regular sleeping patterns, but why does this problem come about and how can you address it? That's what we're going to speak about with Arundhati today. So Arundhati, first of all, let's speak about the importance of things like nap times and regular sleep patterns for children.
Well, number one is nap time generally differs according to age, right? So the normal sleeping patterns of a toddler, that is from birth to about 12 months, it varies, it depending on their growth and how much they want to sleep. But this nap time comes into play after they pass about 18 months, right? That because by that time they are aware of the environment, plus they get used to a certain routine of sleeping, right? So for the question you ask, it's just not always about worrying about how many hours or how many times they nap. This is a biological thing, right? This is like a unanimously agreed among experts that children need adequate sleep and sleeping patterns, right?
Of course.
So another thing is that they say that the time they sleep also makes a big difference of what happens in their body and their mind. Like for example, if the children nap in the morning time, say they have a morning nap, this is time they say that you sleep REM sleep, that is like rapid eye movement sleep, which helps you to dream. So
and is that important?
It is very important at that age, because this is the time the child's brain is growing and they need to build their imagination. So
I see. So that stimulation is there.
It's important, and it's just not sleep. That's why I said this is like a huge biological effect on a child, and there is actually a structure of how many hours a child should sleep for a day.
I see. But as a child grows, what are the ideal nap times? What should be the ideal sleeping pattern for children of different age categories? If we start with very small children, toddlers, let's say.
Yes, I have my little chart I bought.
All right. It's always best to consult the chart and be very precise when you give out these things.
Yes, because they say from birth to 2 months, average sleep should be 12 to 18 hours.
Okay.
Right?
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes, 3 months to 1 year is 14 to 15 hours. 1 year to 3 years, they say 12 to 14.
Okay.
Right? So this goes down, and by the time you reach 3 to 5 years, it's average of 11 to 13 hours of sleep.
I see. So as the child develops, the amount of sleep that he or she needs.
Actually, if you see it, it's just a few hours of cutting down your sleep, but with age, like 12 plus, or when you come to adolescence or adulthood, it's generally 8 to 10 hours sleep is more than enough. But as you can see, the more I said from the younger age to toddler group, the sleeping pattern should be quite high, because it's the time the physically and mental development happens. So it's very important.
So that's great. But to speak about the importance of napping, I think we have a small video clip ready as well. So let's go see what it says.
How to transition a toddler from 2 naps to 1. Between 18 and 24 months, most toddlers will need to nap just once a day. Here's how to restructure your child's day around a new schedule. You will need a toddler, a clock, and about 2 weeks of flexibility in your schedule. Step 1. Look for signs that your child is ready to quit sleeping in the mornings. They may take longer to drift off, wake up earlier, or play in their crib and not sleep at all. You may stop seeing the typical signals of drowsiness like rubbing their eyes or yawning. A child who does one or some of these things one day, then naps as usual the next, is not ready to drop a nap. Step 2. Start by keeping your child awake for a half hour longer in the mornings for a few days. If their nap was at 10 a.m., push it back to 10:30. Step 3. Continue pushing their nap time later and later in half-hour increments for a few days at a time until their naps start at around 12:30 or 1 p.m. If your child is in daycare, synchronize their new nap time to match the daycare center's schedule. Step 4. While she's getting used to the new schedule, feed your toddler lunch a little earlier than usual. Step 5. So that they'll go to sleep at their regular bedtime at night, don't let your child sleep past 3 p.m. Wake them up gently if you have to. Step 6. Once your child is on the 1-a-day nap schedule, enjoy your extra time with them. Did you know? Studies show that just 10 minutes of sleep can leave grown-ups feeling more alert and refreshed.
That's a tip I'm going to remember and quote to anyone who says, why are you sleeping during the afternoon? No, I'm taking a 10-minute nap.
10-minute.
Maybe extend that a bit. But speaking about toddlers, now this video showed a toddler who is pretty willing to adjust to new nap times, and you sort of assume that the toddler may go to sleep as and when you want them to, but that's not the case. Sometimes it's very hard to get a child to go to sleep and to sleep at the time that that he or she is supposed to go to sleep. So how do you deal with a child who refuses to nap or who refuses to, adhere to that time?
Well, it's like this, as it very clearly stated, the child actually gets into a certain routine, right? So once you're in that routine, if the child is showing resistance or showing the fact that he really would prefer doing something else rather than sleeping, that means the child is ready to come out of that napping time and do something more active. So the way you can find out is, one thing is like the typical nap time. If he's refusing to sleep, but after a while if he falls asleep, that means the child is still not ready to avoid that nap. Right?
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And when you travel around with the child, if the child is falling asleep in the vehicle, right, that means he's not ready to avoid the nap time either. Right? So but
you have to look out for these signs.
But if you see the child is very active during the nap time, or he or she doesn't fall asleep during daytime, but by the time it's time for bedtime, they are ready to really sleep tight, and that is a child who is very happy with the few hours of sleep which is allocated to them. So this is the time you should read the signals and cut down the nap to 1.
Okay, so it's not just about you deciding what the time should be and then try to impose it on the child. You should really look at how your child is behaving and look out for these signals, and then maybe you can decide depending on the child, is it?
Yes, but as I said, from day 1 you need to have set routine for your child. So what you need is read these signals when they avoid that kind of napping time. That means they are okay with the amount of sleep they get only in the night, right? But every child needs to have a very specific routine, otherwise it becomes very difficult for them to adjust.
I see. So routine is very important, and this show is all about helping you understand how you can get your child to adjust to a new routine, and of course napping on time, but more sleep pattern related the questions when it comes to your child coming up right after this very short break. patterns on Good Morning Sri Lanka this morning, and it's not about waking up, is it? It's about putting to sleep. And we have Arundhati on the show with us, and now we spoke about how important it is to get children used to regular nap times. And sometimes the child may be well adjusted to a regular sleeping pattern, but then when it comes to sleeping on their own, that becomes another problem, because I guess in Sri Lanka especially, parents like to keep the children very close to them, especially during the formative years, and then it becomes a bit of a problem to help the child to sleep alone, and this issue is faced by a lot of parents. So what do you think the cause behind this is, Arundhati?
Well, to start off answering the question, this is like a very emotional thing for parents to separate themselves away from a young toddler and make them to sleep alone.
Yes.
But the point we forget is that what we are trying to do by putting them to sleep alone is self-reliance, or teaching them how to comfort themselves by themselves. And it's not something that some say it's like you're trying to have this whole detachment thing with your kid too young or whatever, but that's not the case. What you're really trying to is to teach this skill that every human needs to be able to comfort themselves independently, right? You cannot always rely on someone else to comfort you, even when it comes to your own parents, right? So by putting the child into a habit of sleeping alone creates a very high intake of independence, and it gives them a lot of self-confidence. So I think parents should think of it in those lines and try to help them really get into this pattern of sleeping alone as soon as possible.
But now let's rewind a bit and speak about what kind of needs are met when a child sleeps with the parent during the very beginning of its life, and what kind of needs are met when the child goes through that stage as well. Is it important at the beginning to keep the child to let the child sleep with you?
Actually, now they say, like, even from birth, right? They always advise that you should keep the child in a separate cot.
Oh, I
but
see.
you need to have, of course, supervision. And even when you train the child young as 1.5 years to sleep in a separate room by themselves, it's that you will always have a watch on them. It's just that I feel that the innermost thing which they are trying to teach here is to comfort yourself. But even as a baby, I mean, the mother is always around, so you really don't need to sleep together to consolidate that bond. So
then it's really a matter of taking that first step, and maybe you yourself need to make your mind up first as a parent to let your child go, because sometimes parents can be very protective.
Yeah, I think sometimes parents depend more on the child sleeping with them for their comfort than trying to get the child into a pattern, because I've seen kids old as 9, 11 still sleeping with their parents in the same bed, which they don't see anything wrong in that.
Definitely. So that maybe that's a certain thing that needs to change, and you should keep in mind. But one of the reasons that your child may be refusing to sleep alone is because he or she may be having nightmares. And how can you help your child to sleep without having any nightmares? Let's go see.
How to calm a child.